It's Saturday, and you know what that means. Episode 3, we're back for Saturday Smack Talk here on the Tired Sports Network, brought to you by Lace 'em Up Sports Media and Josh Frazier and Nick Wietosh here at Sleeper Sports Media. Josh, how are we doing this fine Saturday?
Doing great. WWE's over in Ireland as of last night. We're one step closer to Clash at Paris and some other events that have come up as well. And we're one step closer to college football and NFL. So it's the best season of the year. So I really can't complain.
It is. It absolutely is. The dead part of the summer is over, where it was just baseball and WWE and or the after SummerSlam, the build to SummerSlam. I mean, it's finally in that the sweet spot of the end of the summer going into the fall football season, everything like you just said. And yes, they were in Dublin, Ireland last night. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Raw and SmackDown, and then go into all the news that spiraled and came out about other shows being added, switching networks and providers and services, and streaming this and streaming that. And we are getting gonna get right on into it, and of course talk about some other things, football and some boxing news that came out. Netflix being part of that massive ordeal, massive fight being announced, of course, as we see Canelo Alvarez and the Canelo fight being advertised every other week on Raw and SmackDown, being on Netflix there, and then of course Jake Paul versus Tank Davis, but more on that towards the tail end. We'll get the meat and potatoes out of the way with the Raw and starting with the Raw and SmackDown results. Raw, August 18th, from Philly and the Xfinity Mobile Arena, no longer the Wells Fargo Arena, or the Wells Fargo Center, one of the two. Roman Reigns helped Jey Uso defeat Braun Breaker in an Extreme Rules match. They kicked off the show and had the back and forth. Paul Heyman was paying homage to the ECW stars. That led into Jey Uso and Braun Breaker in Extreme Rules. And of course, Roman Reigns, who was advertised by the Wells Fargo Center, or whatever they're calling it now, to be there and be advertised by WWE. We didn't know what he was going to do. We didn't know if he was going to do his normal promo and then get beat up and then get his shoes taken. But he came out for 2 minutes and helped Jey Uso because it was Extreme Rules, no disqualifications. They brawled around ringside for a little bit, and the match is still going on as Roman and Bronson Reed were going back and forth. So Jey Uso defeats Braun Breaker in the Extreme Rules match. What was your thoughts on the main event of Raw on Monday night?
Gonna be honest, I love so they were in Philly, and I love the throwback to ECW. You got to have Paul Heyman. That's kind of the birthplace of ECW and all the history, and part of why he's a Hall of Famer, right? And so I love the paying homage to ECW and that history there. I think it was a great match. I did think it was kind of predictable. I kind of had a feeling that Roman Reigns is going to be coming out at some point to set up something. And the way they did it, it was great. Braun Breaker about to run the ring and hit a spear. Roman's music hits, and then he's confused. Where's Roman? Where's Roman? And then he goes to finish off Jey Uso, and then bam, Roman hits him with a spear coming the opposite direction. So
Yeah.
it was kind of predictable, but they did it in such a way that I loved it. I loved it. It was absolutely great how they brought Roman Reigns in and how they quickly set up a Roman versus Bronson Reed, match for Clash of Paris. So overall, great match, even before Roman got out there. So just predictable.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's better than the ending that we've been getting for the last month and a half with the Vision standing tall. So
Right.
they're finally going in the right direction. And then with that, and did set up Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns. So hopefully, Roman Reigns against Bronson Reed. Hopefully that does finally end and we get away from having his shoes taken week after week. And I
Right.
guess maybe they were doing it for, I think the launch of his shoe collab with Jordan finally launched because he was wearing them, and I saw the reel of him saying no one's gonna take these. So maybe that's what this was for. But hopefully
Right.
Roman gets the shoe to follow back at Clash of Paris when he beats Bronson Reed, and then we can finally get on track with Roman sort of knowing what we're going to get out of his booking and better than what it's been. Just
Right.
like very similar to the women's division with Io Sky defeating Raquel Rodriguez. Why is Io Sky in the title picture one week and then the next week facing tag teams or tag team partners, competitors in the tag team division? I mean, yes, Raquel and Roxanne did lose the titles, so now you could push Raquel. And of course, one of the dirt sheets posts that I saw was that WWE is thinking of putting the title on Raquel with Naomi relinquishing it, which was later in the show. I don't see that, but I mean, at this point, it could play into Roxanne telling Raquel, hey, go for the women's title, go for the women's title. And then she wins it and Liv comes back. And that's kind of how they either push Liv out of the Judgment Day. Because you got to think she's going to come back and get a massive pop and be over. She could come back as a face. And then kind of they could play that and move on from Liv in the Judgment Day to Roxanne. Who knows what they're going to do with that? But Rhea Ripley, of course, came out and assisted Io Sky, and that's how she defeated Raquel. So, what were your thoughts on Io finally beating Rakai after losing to Roxanne last week? I was confused on that part. How is she going to lose to Roxanne, but then beat Raquel? But at this point, I don't think they know either. They just be throwing darts at a dartboard and be like, all right, Io's going to go over this week.
Yeah, it is a little confusing. I feel like there's just a lot of chaos in that whole storyline. I think they're really trying to build a Rhea and Io kind of relationship, and I don't know. Call me crazy, but hot take. Maybe we get a Rhea Ripley Io Sky tag team later on.
Wow. It would be interesting. They
I
are great.
mean,
They are great together. I will say that. So
they really are, and I feel like they've really been building. They've been starting over the last couple of weeks to build that friendship, that relationship together out of respect for each other's skill level and accomplishments and what they can do in the ring. And I feel like they're doing another Charlotte Flair Alexa Bliss
yes,
type deal, right? Where it's no one's thinking about it, and then all of a sudden they're starting to like help each other out and have respect for each other, and then later on down the line, oh, we're friends now.
yeah,
So I think it is a little chaotic. I'm not excited to see Rhea Ripley get back involved with the Judgment Day because I'm not gonna lie, it was a great storyline, but it's time to move on, right?
yes,
But I guess this is also a good way to, if they are building them as a tag team, build them up as a tag team. It's a great way. So I think that's what they're leaning towards. It's just it all seems very shades of Charlotte and Alexa.
yeah,
So you know, and I'm ready for Liv Morgan to come back too. So that's going to be interesting. I'm ready to see that chaos come through, and you know, we'll see. That's my take on it.
yeah. Definitely. Definitely putting Rhea back in with the Judgment Day is definitely not what probably anyone wants to see. I mean, it ran its course quick, and now it's running its course still quickly with the entire Judgment Day of just kind of like they're doing the same thing week after week. They get the titles, they don't defend them, they drop them, they get the titles. Now they're sort of defending them, but sort of not. They're still going. It's just a big mess. But they are still one of the best, if not the best, factions over there on Raw. I think they're one of the only few since they moved the Wyatt Six to and from and everything. But yeah,
Right.
definitely can't wait for Liv Morgan to come back. Um, gonna be awesome with her getting through the injury and then finally coming back. It's looking like early 2026 is when more than likely she's gonna be back on, hopefully back on Raw. And we see how it unfolds with the Judgment Day and Roxanne and Dom and all that good stuff. And that from one tag team that's in and out and up and down and with titles, without titles, in singles matches, in tag team matches, is the New Day's Xavier Woods dropping a match to Penta. Not surprising at all. The New Day kind of getting stagnant again already with the every week doing the same thing, just complaining and wearing they're still mourning the loss of their tag titles, which feels like it was a year and a half ago at this point, especially because they never defended them. But Penta defeats Xavier Woods after the week before taking the big giant hat and stealing it and then throwing it and or whatever it was. And now so Penta gets the win over Woods. He faces Kofi Kingston next week on or Monday on Raw. That one was announced along with Io Sky and or Rhea Ripley versus I believe Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne was also announced for Monday. But Penta getting a win over Xavier Woods. Break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a filler match. I'm kind of I love the whole grieving thing from New Day at first. Like it was great. It was on point with their character, their with their characters. And I absolutely loved the hat game by Xavier Woods cannot be beat. First, he has the $12,000, now $18,000
Yeah, yeah,
gigantic grieving sombrero, right? That's not a sombrero. And then this week he comes out with this little itty bitty like Kurt Angle cowboy hat, right? That he's wearing. And I love the sideshow type feel to Xavier Woods. I think they're playing the parts really well, but it is getting old quick.
yeah,
Um, you can only grieve for so long, and you know, as far as Penta goes, I'm wanting more of a push for Penta. I think Penta's a phenomenal superstar, right? Very talented. He's very over with the fans, but he's still kind of in these filler matches and not really getting pushed towards anything. It's a mid card title or anything else. Like, I'm not expecting world heavyweight title matches, but you know, um, it's I'm ready to see Penta get pushed a little bit more. So um, don't rush the grieving process. It's different for everyone. Big G needs a shoulder too. Well, Big G had a shoulder in Austin Theory and he ruined that. So, I feel like he kind of got what he deserved.
yeah. Grayson Waller being mixed in with the New Day now. We saw it being planted for a couple weeks with them talking backstage and everything. I mean, and then all of a sudden Austin Theory is off TV, and you just see Grayson Waller talking to the New Day, and you got to think what's going on there. And then a month and a half ago, Waller's like finally got rid of Theory. He's hurt. And boys, I'm a free agent. The way they did it was great. I mean, it sucks that if Austin Theory is actually hurt. There was a lot of chatter about him possibly being next on the chopping block and being released, but hopefully it is just something he can come back from quickly, injury wise, and maybe bring him back and put him on SmackDown and let him be a star. Grayson Waller is great, and the whole Big G kind of going off of the big KO or the big O thing that whenever Kevin Owens joined the New Day a couple years ago. But I mean it. Yeah, it's been great with the three of them and Grayson Waller trying to join the New Day, them treating him as their lackey, and so that whole thing has been comedic, and that's what it's for because they are comedic relief at this point. But yes, Big G does need a shoulder to cry on, versus since he did get rid of Austin Theory. And yeah, Penta getting the win. I'm not shocked there at all, and push towards maybe the Intercontinental Championship, like you
Something.
said, maybe not the World Heavyweight Championship because him as a heavyweight, uh, no.
This is why we
Um,
need the cruiserweight division
yes, exactly. Bring the cruiserweight division. Yeah,
or
absolutely.
luchador division,
Bring it.
right?
That would be amazing if it would mean that they were going to bring in Mr. Iguana and the psycho clown and the interesting characters
Benito.
and looks from AAA, which going into Mr. Iguana and Dragon Lee against Finn Balor and JD McDonough, the World Tag Team Champions, did get the win. This was not a championship match, but Mr. Iguana back on TV, and then of course El Vikingo or whoever the other AAA guy is that Dom is going to go up against at Worlds Collide on Friday, September
The
12th
Kingo.
in Las Vegas, for the AAA Mega Championship. Dom versus uh, El Vikingo. He did show up as well. So Dragon Lee and Mr. Iguana do drop one, but Mr. Iguana back on WWE programming. He got his SmackDown debut patch earlier, or a couple weeks ago, and now getting that Raw one with the new thing of talent when they make their debut on Raw or SmackDown, they get a patch on their gear somewhere. And then, of course, some of them are being put into trading cards and for tops and all the cool stuff that they're doing now under the leadership of this regime. Would have happened with old man Vince in charge. But your thoughts on this tag match and Mr. Iguana and all the AAA mix in and finally like the partnership with now WWE owning AAA.
I'm going to be straight up and honest. The tag division right now, both on Raw and on SmackDown, is top tier all around. We've got great tag teams. They're all extremely talented at what they do. I love the partnership with AAA down in Mexico or whatnot, and the seeing Vikingo come in and unexpectedly, I think it's crossed over really well, and I just look forward to seeing the I guess the expansion of the increase in popularity in cruiserweights or luchadors, because it's all very, very talented. It has been for decades, right? I mean, Rey Mysterio started down in Mexico, right? And you see where he's come up from. The Eddie Guerreros, Chavo Guerreros, all those guys, the La Parcas all came from Mexico or El Paso, and they've always been super talented, always put on a show. And I'm really excited to see what this crossover or this partnership brings, because it's like we talked about, what, 6 months to a year ago. We need a cruiserweight division or a luchador division. There's just too much talent and opportunity there to pass it up. And combined with tag teams, the tag teams have been absolutely on fire, putting on great matches. And I'm actually interested in the tag team divisions now,
Yeah.
whereas 6 months ago, I wasn't. It was the same like four tag teams because we didn't even have the White Six tag teaming at that point. So, not surprised that Finn Balor and JD McDonough won. I did love Finn Balor's how do you say his representation, just like Iguana Demonito
Yes.
down in AAA, and
Yes.
it was absolutely hilarious and fit perfectly with everything else. So I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. It was. I didn't get to watch it, and I haven't watched it. Maybe I should watch Worlds Collide on September 12th. On the WWE YouTube channel, and I saw that Triple Mania they did massive numbers on both YouTubes and wherever the AAA shows have been before. But massive, massive numbers, and it is cool that they are starting to push and put stuff onto YouTube. That was also talked about and thrown around there with possibly doing maybe a deal and partnership with YouTube as well for something for some WWE programming. But at this, I mean, who knows what that's going to be? Of course, we have other deals that have been done since then and moving around. But yes, the tag team division has taken a giant step up on both brands. With the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and JD McDonough do work as a tag team. They are solid. They are the right two to be champions right now. Um, and Wyatt Six being on SmackDown with them having the titles is finally after however many months it's been since they started as the group and everything, um, or started as the group post Bray Wyatt. But why is Bo Dallas not in the United States Championship picture? Why is Bo Dallas or Eric Rowan not getting the singles matches? The TLC match was insane with the Wyatts retaining and everything over there on SmackDown. They were shown last night backstage during one of the segments there. But yeah, Raw and JD and Finn, this tag match was great, and it is pretty cool to see the AAA deal and partnership working out. Um, Similar to the TNA one as well. I know that's more TNA and NXT have been more doing that, but TNA, it'd be great to see some TNA stars up on the main roster as well. And just like it's great to see Nikki Bella back on WWE programming. It seems like every Monday night, whenever that music hits and she comes running out, it's like, whoa, okay, got to pay attention. But she came out after the match, after Becky Lynch defeated Natalia for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And you got to think Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella should be or will be added to the card for Clash of Paris. If not, um, maybe the next one, the next PLE. Who knows how they're going to fit that in? But right now, Clash in Paris, we're going to get to the full preview, but it only has 4 matches. So, of course, Natalia or Naomi and Stephanie Vicaire were supposed to be on the card. But, of course, the next one we're going to talk about and go over from Raw, that match is seemingly off. But Nikki Bella attacking Becky Lynch after her another defense and victory retainment for the women's Intercontinental Champion. What were your thoughts on Becky retaining, and then the semi potential matchup of Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch?
As far as the results of the match, I'm not surprised. I definitely did not see Natalia taking that title off of Becky Lynch. I think Natalia's role now is more of passing her knowledge on and putting new stars over, right? Not that Becky Lynch is a new star, but that's Natalia's role, and she's not going to be an intercontinental champion over Becky Lynch,
Yeah.
especially on a Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
And I do wish that they would bring the persona that Natalia has had from the other different promotions that she's been in, in between her time back and forth in WWE, because I think it's absolutely phenomenal. But predictable, right? We had the promo from Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch last week. I think it was last week where Becky Lynch hit her with the power couple comment, right? It would have been but you can't see him anymore. We kind of knew with that Nikki Bella was coming out at some point, either that night or the next time Becky had a match. And I'm ready for the match. I think it's going to be a great match. Let's just quit holding us in suspense and giving us promos and then not even having, an inkling of a match being set up. And let's get this rocking and rolling. I'm ready to see this match. It's going to be great. 2 all-time greats, and let's see it.
Yeah, it's time. They need to get it rolling and finally make it official. In the words of Adam Pearce, I mean, they took long enough for Roman and Bronson Reed to get made official. They waited until like the next think they waited until like Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday when Adam Pearce made that one official. But yeah, Becky and Nikki Bella uh, being added to Clash in Paris would definitely help and definitely get another match on there, and it would be a good pivot for from what we were going to get with Naomi and Stephanie Vaquer for the title. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with the title, the women's world title, as Naomi vacated it and announced that she is pregnant and stepping away for a while, and she did it phenomenally. I mean, that's the best like pregnancy announcement by a heel ever. I know Becky was kind of still a tweener back then in 2020 whenever she announced it, and then they gave it to Asuka in the Money in the Bank briefcase. But and Becky and her comments when Naomi announced it was so good, was how irresponsible getting pregnant as a champion, or what, however she worded it. And then Naomi clapped back and said, "I learned from the best." But yeah, Naomi vacates the women's world title, so we don't know what's gonna happen there. With that title and how we're gonna find and get a new champion. So Stephanie Vaquer, gotta think she's gonna be one of the favorites. If not, of course, there's always Rhea Ripley. You can throw the title back on her, and no one's gonna have a problem with that at all. Um, and of course, we don't know what's going to happen, but I hope they think of a creative way and do it in a creative way to crown a new champion. Very well could wait until Crown Jewel at this point, which is in October. I wouldn't be shocked if they either rush it and throw something and be like, we're going to do this, or they plan it out and have another tournament after Clash in Paris, and to help the build towards or even at WrestlePalooza. Who knows how they're going to do it? But your thoughts on Naomi and her announcement, and new women's world champion loading.
First of all, congratulations to Naomi. Obviously some very big news. Becky Lynch saying that's absolutely irresponsible. Just she is one of the best at whatever she does, whether it's a heel, whether it's a face. I absolutely love it. She takes it to the next level. She's like the female Drew McIntyre, right? So that's what I'm starting to compare her to now. But we know how this is going to play out, right? Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis. What do they love? They love a tournament.
Yep.
It's going to be a tournament. There's not a clear number one contender. You mentioned Stephanie Vaquer, Rhea Ripley. There's Io Sky. I mean, there's too many people to just say, hey, boom, you're the number one contender.
Yeah.
Right? So, tournament. Calling it now. They're going to have some sort of tournament, and they're going to have a match at Crown Jewel. Because when is Crown Jewel again? That
is, let me see.
End of September, I think.
I believe it is October. No, it's October 11th.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so they have plenty of time. They have all of September, for a tournament. They're going to have a tournament. They're going to, have a match at Crown Jewel, and that's going to determine who's the champ. So, again, predictable. That's what they love to do, is have a tournament, because guess what? That gives you guaranteed matches for Raw and SmackDown every single week.
Yeah. I don't think I'm hoping they don't include SmackDown in this, because this is the Raw women's title. I mean, maybe they will. But I like whenever they stick to the brand split and don't just like laugh at the fact that we're supposed to have a brand split. And they seemingly traded Sami Zayn for oh my god, because
Can't
Sami Zayn
remember.
moved to SmackDown, they traded Sami Zayn for someone. I forget how that
Right.
all went down. And it was a great move to do the trade and move someone to Raw, move someone to whatever. But I mean, the Raw women's division, I get it. The divisions are what they are. Um, but I mean, it at this point, if they did do include SmackDown with it, I mean, it is what it is. Even if they included, I'd rather see them include NXT talent in the tournament and bring them up and have them compete on Raw for more names, for more bodies in this tournament.
They very well
But
could too.
yeah, I mean,
So
they that could be a way to call them up and have, they do, because they do that every once in a while. They have NXT talent in tournaments and then have them on Raw or SmackDown for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden they're back down. But I mean, like, just a couple names. Izzy Dame, she has the look. I think I don't watch NXT, but I think she's been one of the ones that has been on NXT TV for a while. She could be ready. Jada Parker, definitely ready. Jasmine Nix, I think, has been on there for a good bit, and the NXT Women's Division definitely is, um, you know, one of the better, probably my favorite women's division. Michin, she could be in this. Natalia, she could be in it just for another body and participant in the tournament. Um, I mean, it's going to be fun to see how they do it for sure. And then when they crown it, hopefully, maybe, I mean, I would say it's I want it before Crown Jewel so we can, get that big giant Crown Jewel championship back again like they did a couple years ago or last year, whatever it was, and do champion versus champion. But that's just because I like that dynamic of, again, brand versus brand. But yeah, Naomi, big congrats to her and Big Jim. And her announcement was absolutely perfect. Just like the main event, Extreme Rules in Philadelphia, and Roman Reigns helping Jey Uso get a win once again over the Vision. And now we get, of course, them continuing this whole thing with, is that going to be our War Games teams, the Vision, and they're going to have to add a couple more guys against the Bloodline. Of course, Roman and Jay, they're going to need more bodies. So, who knows at this point? But your thoughts on the main event of Raw?
yeah, like I said earlier, it was predictable, but the match was great. It lived up to everything that it should have been, I thought. And I wasn't surprised by how it ended. That's how they set up Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns. We talked about that last week. Like,
Yeah,
you can't just move Roman Reigns off to another storyline. He's
yeah,
got to come back and beat his bully,
yeah.
right? He's got to get his shoes off the power line, right? And Bronson Reed is that power line. Let's just be very clear. Like, you can't let the bully win, especially when you were Roman Reigns, who held a title for 4 years,
Yeah.
right? One of the longest reigning champions of all time, to just move him off that storyline where he's getting bullied and getting his shoes taken and thrown over the power line, aka Bronson Reed, Big Braun. And it was done perfectly. Instead of getting the typical music hits and he comes out, Roman Reigns comes out of the entrance. Everyone's confused. Where's he at? And then all of a sudden, Braun gets hit with that spear, and it's like, oh yes, finally a little bit of unpredictability, but done very well. And I'm excited for Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns. The real question is, referring to our last show, Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. If Roman Reigns gets in trouble, who's gonna come help him?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we haven't seen that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jey Uso will be, you know, occupied with his world title match. So who is going to come and help the OTC if need be, and how are we going to get more bodies on that team for War Games, which we'll get into that and talk a little bit about that, because that is going to be another PLE on ESPN, as we know. And more, jumping ahead a little bit, more on the ESPN deal with WWE happening sooner than we thought with WrestlePalooza. But of course, before we get to WrestlePalooza, we got to take a stop in Dublin, which is where SmackDown was last night, and kicking things off with Dublin's own Becky Lynch kicked off the show and was thankful and saying about how Dublin deserves this, or well, she didn't say that Dublin deserved it, but she deserved it to be the one to kick off the first ever TV, live TV for WWE in Dublin. And she remembers coming there when she was little and seeing the live shows, and then the crowd started chanting "We deserve it," and she flipped the switch and immediately does what only she can, in the true Conor McGregor type fashion of what she brings to the WWE, and said, "You don't deserve nothing," and turned it. I mean, just turned it up to an 11, and not her being a heel in her hometown of Dublin, and then out comes the women's champion, Tiffany Stratton, which sets up the main event for SmackDown. Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. Jade and Nia Jax both followed suit and came out while they were attacking Tiffy, Nia, and Becky. Then comes out Jade, and then we had the tag match for the main event. And it does look like Tiffany and Jade did go over and beat Nia Jax and Becky Lynch. Your thoughts on the opening segment and the main event of SmackDown last night?
Very typical of Nick Aldis
Yep.
to not be ready with the main event.
Yep. Yep.
2 weeks in a row, he made the main event at the opening of SmackDown. Let's be a general manager of a major worldwide WWE television show, please, and let's have our main event before the show starts. Can I just throw that out there? I remember the days where I never had to worry about, what's the main event going to be? Now, they did have that have a main event before on shows, and then something would happen, and that would be the new main event or a co-main event. I get that, but come on. You're supposed to be a general manager of SmackDown, and you don't have a main event before the show even starts? Come on now. Let's fix this storyline or this bad habit. As far as that match, I mean, it's full of all-stars. Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch. It was exactly what we expected. Jade. I would like to see Jade versus Becky. We have not seen a one-on-one match of Jade versus Becky, and she's getting better. And I'm starting to like her a little bit more with each match. I would love to see a Jade Cargill versus Becky Lynch match.
That would be fire. That would be fire. Sports and facts. Things can happen on a fly. Justice for Nick Aldis.
Justice for Nick. You are paid to make a card. You have one show a week, right? You're not controlling Raw and SmackDown like Adam Pearce did.
Yep.
You're doing half of the work. Please have a main event. Why is this such a habit of his?
They do have this happen a lot where and I remember at one point they were supposed to do, and this has happened before, where they advertise women's matches, and I forget who were the competitors, but I think it was a women's tag match, and this was going to be the main event, like announced before, like the week before, and then we get to that episode of SmackDown, and the women's match is taken off of the preview on WWE.com, and then we're like, okay, we're not only are we not getting a women's match now, but we don't have a main event. And then they open the show, and of course, just like last night, they open the show with whoever was feuding with who, and then Nick Aldis comes out. All right, this is now our main event. But he didn't say that. It was the commentators that said, okay, this is now the main event. We were supposed to have this, but now this is going to be the main event. So to your point, exactly right. It's hilarious whenever they do it, but it is like, okay, we watching, we do have the common sense to know, like, can you be a little organized? Everyone likes to clown Adam Pearce. Everyone loves to clown Adam Pearce and say that he's a bad GM and this and that, and that Nick Aldis is a better GM. I'm not buying it. Pearce is a better GM than Nick Aldis, but
absolutely,
sports and facts. You wanna glaze Nick Aldis just like Michael Cole glazes Cody Rhodes. By all means, be my guest. And the can they coexist angle I'm tired of it. Every time that they lays out that that's the way they're going to go, and I say, "Can they coexist?" Martina, she laughs whenever I say that, and she's like, "That's your favorite thing to say." I was like, "Yeah." It's also Nick Aldis's favorite thing to be unorganized and just throw darts at a dartboard and be like, "All right, this is our main event this week."
Right. Yeah. Like Adam Pearce has a main event. Like it'd be one thing if like maybe once in a while you didn't have a main event and you're like, you know what, this sounds like it could be a great main event.
Yeah,
Something popped up, boom, you make
yeah,
it. But it's every week we find out who you can. I can almost guarantee whoever opens the show, right? They're going to be in the main event.
yeah. They do it all the time with Cody. They do it all the time uh with Jay or Sami Zayn or Drew McIntyre, even a couple times whenever he's opened the show. He's been thrown into the main event. CM Punk, they do it a lot, and it's time to stop it. It is
Yeah.
time to stop it. And
What
last
are you
night,
even doing?
yes, this is probably the match that should have definitely been the main event. Because other than that, it was tag matches and the women, one half of the women's tag team champions losing, which the back and forth with champions losing and then winning, and then their partner losing and then their partner winning. I'm tired of that. I'm just as tired of that as I'm tired of Nick Aldis not having his main event ready to go. We saw Mello Don't Miz is back in action and they got a win over Motor City Machine Guns. So that match booked by Nick Aldis was great. Your thoughts on the opening match on SmackDown last night?
Yeah, I mean, Carmelo Hayes is the new guy, but super talented. I love his character. I love his skills in the ring. Of course, you've got the Miz, who's an absolute vet, and Motor City Machine Guns, who are also major vets, just as long as the Miz. I
Yep.
mean, to to have anything other than spectacular and a great match from these guys is would be unreal,
Yeah,
right? Um,
absolutely.
the match was great, lots of great spots, and I hope they, keep the Miz and Carmelo Hayes on this upward track because I think it could be a really good tag team. SmackDown, I think, while I think the tag team division overall is great. SmackDown, I think, definitely has the edge over Raw.
Yes.
Because I mean, really, you couldn't go wrong with either tag team winning. I'm glad they gave it to The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, and I want to see them move them up a little bit. You know what I mean? So we know what we get with the Motor City Machine Guns. They've won their title almost twice, almost as soon as they got here, right?
Yeah,
So
after two weeks after their debut, they had the titles on, and then they dropped them shortly thereafter. Had a 20 to 40 ish day title reign, and then they've been included and back and forth in and out of the title picture as all the teams. They've done a good job of having all the teams included in the title picture there on SmackDown, like you said. And yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns. I do clown them a lot for being 5'2" and looking like cover band for a cover boy band or whatever. But yeah, they are good at what they do for sure.
yeah, and so hopefully they keep the Miz and Carmelo on this upward push. I think it'll be great for both of them.
Yeah, Mellow Don't Miz is a phenomenal name. They finally got like a graphic with their tag team name, and it's not just the Miz and Carmelo Hayes.
Right.
Hopefully, as much as the entrances are hit or miss with Def Rebel, whatever, as their contract is supposed to be over somewhat soon, if not already over. We get an actual entrance for those two. But yes, Mello Don't Miz being back and seemingly stacking up wins. Hopefully they get a tag title shot on SmackDown on the blue brand there soon, and then they are now a team that's in the mix with every other week. I mean, the SmackDown tag team division is truly you don't know what's going to happen. They could do a ladder match with all the teams one week, and then the next week they could shuffle it and have a team face a team that we've never seen before. Um, I mean, it is one of the better divisions now than it has been in the past. But SmackDown is getting that is the tag team division, and Raw is not too far behind with their tag division. And of course, that's a trend of tag division as we go from Maladont Miz picking up a win. We have Piper Niven defeating Charlotte Flair. So Piper Niven and Chelsea Green and the Secret Service have been mixed in and seemingly only doing those are the only competitors for the women's tag team division, as we now all of a sudden don't have BFAB and Michin anymore. BFAB is with the Profits again after being with Michin for a little bit, but Piper Niven getting a win over one half of the tag team champions. I'm tired of them only feuding. They're doing now with the women's tag titles what they did with the men's tag titles for months and months and months. But your thoughts on Piper Niven getting the win over Charlotte Flair?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Piper Niven, I've loved her character and her ability in the ring. She's won many championships overseas, right? Before she came to WWE. So she's kind of proven, right? And I love that they put Piper Niven over on Charlotte Flair, because guess what? Now she's gonna be like, hey, I beat Charlotte Flair.
Yeah,
So if Chelsea Green, anytime Chelsea Green tries to tell her to do something, I think this could be, if they do it right, they can end the Secret Service. And I'm kind of ready for it to be done. Chelsea and Piper have been together for years
for
at this point,
for a long time, long
right?
long
At
time.
least a couple of years, because they started shortly after I got back into wrestling, and that was at least 2 years ago, back in maybe end of 2022.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll just say 23 and 24.
yeah.
And I think they've kind of run it, right? So it's time, I think, for Piper Niven to separate out on her own. And she's talented. She's had the tutelage, right? And I think with her beating Piper or Charlotte Flair, even though it wasn't necessarily clean, excuse me, I think it's time for Piper Niven to move forward and hit the solo ranks.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's justice for my women's U.S. champion. She's now also with Ethan Page and his you how to Canadian North American champ. What they're doing down there on NXT is insane. Ethan Page holding the title there, the North American title, uh, made a custom Canadian title for, since it's still part of North America, but they're acting like it's not. It's hilarious. But Chelsea Green and Ethan Page have been now mixing, being a mixed tag. So maybe I mean that Chelsea Green is great at what she does in any way, anything that she does, and Piper Niven is great. Um, I just don't like champions losing on TV. I don't like tag team champions losing in singles matches. Just have the tag match. Just have the tag match when you're in a tag team. Piper Niven right now is in a tag team, the Secret Service, and I mean I don't know why they do one tag partner versus one tag partner, with this one winning, and then the next week they do the same thing with the other partners, and then one losing, and then they go back and forth. It ultimately that would be fine if it actually paid out and they had the tag title match on the PLE that they're building towards, but that never happens. They always have it on the Friday before the PLE, and it boggles my mind, and it's almost as bad as the can they coexist angle. So it was great. I mean, I didn't see it. I quickly watched like the videos, went through that way, but it would be fine to see the women's tag titles on a PLE. Give If they have to make a pivot, put this match on the PLE at Clash of Paris.
well, you mentioned the tag teams. I think if this is the angle they are going with, where Piper Niven's going to separate, right? Because she's been with Chelsea Green for at least a couple of years. Maybe this is an opportunity that they're taking for Chelsea to bring up Alba Fire.
Yep.
right? So you separate Piper Niven. She goes on her own. I think
Yep.
she's ready to be on her own.
Yeah.
Um, and now you bring up Alba Fire, who wouldn't I don't like being solo, right? I don't like her being on her own. I think she needs more time with a vet like Chelsea Green to get her ready, just like she did with Piper Niven. So, kind of looking behind the scenes, I think this is kind of where they're going with it. You know, Piper Niven, obviously good enough to beat Charlotte Flair to pin her,
Yeah.
right? Wasn't necessarily clean because of Chelsea Green raking the eyes in the figure, her signature submission move, right? And but ultimately she did pin Charlotte Flair, which is really saying something. And she's ready to be on her own. So my question was, where was Alexa Bliss? Because
Huh.
Alexa Bliss was not there, right? So where's Alexa Bliss when Charlotte Flair's out there by herself against the Secret Harvest and Chelsea Green? Or sorry, Piper Niven,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
let's be so for real here. So um it's you know, I think she needs to go on her own. Rita, you joined. I love it. We're doing a little WWE talk here today, so maybe a little bit of some football if we got the time for it. So, but I
Yeah.
appreciate you being in here for sure.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Subscribe to the, all the channels here. I see you're on YouTube, watching from YouTube. Over on Facebook, we are live on my Facebook and the Tired Sports Network. We are live on my YouTube, Josh's YouTube, which is where, guessing that's where you're watching from, because I do see we are up to 5 watching here, 2 on each of our YouTubes and 1 on the Facebook. We're also live on the network's Twitch and my Twitch. But yes, thank you for joining. And yeah, we do have did hit heavy on the results for Raw and SmackDown, so we'll kind of quick fire here with the rest of SmackDown. I know you uh, told me about the verbal promo battle that Cena laid down on Logan Paul was phenomenal.
Oh, great.
And yes,
Absolutely phenomenal. John Cena cooked Logan Paul, and told him he was just there for branding opportunities for Prime, so he could buy a new Pokemon card. And he brought up his legal troubles, legal issues, and it was the John Cena that we know and love and expect all the time. Great promo. Really excited for this match. He talked about how he's wasting his time, his last few matches on, a YouTuber selling sea salt, and he's taking these opportunities away from people like Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles and Jacob Fatu, and a couple of others that I can't remember who all he named, but it was absolutely great. He hit him with an AA, and I'm actually excited for this match. I think it's going to be great, and I cannot wait for John Cena to put Logan Paul in his place.
I I I got to go back and watch SmackDown. I didn't get to watch it last night, so I'm going to go back and watch it here once we're done. And that was I knew John Cena would be coming back, and he was advertised, of course, and then Logan Paul was there. Given that it makes sense that he was there this week, as he just got married over in Italy, so he's overseas right now, and who knows, they might be back in Puerto Rico at this point, but or probably you know they could be back in Puerto Rico. They could be staying over there through the next week and just staying overseas for a little bit there in Europe and Clash in Paris and everything like that. But Logan has private jet money, and of course, at any time he could probably borrow Jake's private jet, which we will get into Jake Paul and his announcement here. Hopefully, can move through the other big announcements, and if we go over a little bit over a little bit overtime, that's fine too. But we had, Logan Paul and John Cena doing what they do and getting, like you said, you're excited now for their match at Clash in Paris, but that's exactly what a build should be like. Two great stars two of the best at what they do. Logan Paul with, giving the material for John Cena to turn it into heat on Logan, and then John Cena being that face that's just going to go out there and absolutely destroy anyone he faces on the mic, except for Cody. But that's going to need to be its own episode and how badly and how much Cody Rhodes is protected. And moving along with the rest of SmackDown here, we had the Street Profits defeating JC Mateo and Tonga Loa. We had R-Truth, who mixed up his travel plans. He went to Dublin, Georgia instead of Dublin, Ireland. He then asked Damian Priest to step in. And Damian Priest came out. Truth was supposed to take on Aleister Black. Priest came out, and of course they had the feud. They had the brawl. We didn't get an actual match. It spilled out to the ring. Officials came out, and then they went to the back. So that match didn't happen. And then we ended things with Randy Orton returning, dropping McIntyre with an RKO. And then it also did say here that Logan Paul did get the brass knuckles and use them on John Cena backstage while Cena was talking to Nick Aldis. So I'm guessing that's how SmackDown ended with, one of those two matches being the last thing that we saw. Don't know if Logan attacking Cena was last or if McIntyre and Orton was the final part there, but that is going to wrap it up on the Raw and SmackDown results. Just so we can get into the other big news, we'll get uh, finish that up and go into a quick Clash in Paris preview. Cena and Logan, like you said, going to be a generational battle. World Heavyweight Fatal Four Way: Seth Rollins, Punk, Uso, and LA Knight. Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed, like we already talked about, and then Sheamus and Rusev in a good old fashioned Donnybrook match. Your thoughts on the Fatal Four Way and the Donnybrook, since we already hit on the other two.
World Heavyweight Championship Fatal Four Way. Seth Rollins is the champ. I have to give the advantage to him between Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker because let's be honest, Braun Breaker isn't even in a match. Bronson Reed, his match is after the World Heavyweight Championship, I believe. So unless these are not in order, but
yeah, Wikipedia. If you're looking at Wikipedia for the order there, that you have to read those. Proceed with caution when you're reading from Wikipedia,
right.
because the order there is never official. More than likely they'll let us know what's kicking off the show with during the pre-show. But yes, or even they might announce it before, but or of course like Fightful or good sources like that will maybe announce the order the day of. But yeah, Wikipedia have to proceed with caution when going off the order with that one.
Yeah. So either way, I mean, I still give the advantage to Seth Rollins with his faction there, Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. So it's it's going to be a great match. You've got all stars there between CM Punk, Jey Uso, LA Knight, and Seth Rollins. But
Yeah,
I think ultimately Seth Rollins is going to end up with the victory. So I do think we're going to get another match added on there. I would not be surprised if we get a Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, which would be great. As far as the Sheamus versus Rusev,
pretty much sums it up. The dead
mean,
silence, the cricket sound effects. It
it's a
pretty
match.
much sums it up. And StreamYard, I hope that you clip that reaction right there when talking about Sheamus versus Rusev in the good old fashioned Donnybrook match at Clash in Paris. This feud has gone on for far too long. Week after week they do this one, then they stop, and then they do it the next week, and then they keep fighting backstage. And I mean, I wasn't shocked when they said it was going to be a good old fashioned Donnybrook. Whenever they announced that, I think it was last week when Adam Pearce was about to pop a blood vessel. Whenever he was like, "All right, that's enough. If you want to do this, we're not going to do it backstage. We're going to do it at Clash in Paris, and it's going to be." And I called it word for word, bar for bar, and how he announced it. And Martina just laughed and was like, you could do what he does. And I'm like, yeah, I know I could. So StreamYard, I hope you clip this with that feature. I know it's in beta, so it probably doesn't have the like, the when you say clip this, it's going to automatically clip this part. But yeah, that reaction pretty much sums it up. But that Clash in Paris preview is about as good as what we can do with only 4 matches being on the card. Being it is exciting that we're getting a PLE on a Sunday, and of course the next day being Labor Day or whatever holiday that is, because I never know which is which. But holiday weekend on a Sunday, it's going to be great. So that is Clash in Paris, August 31st, and then we roll into September with the next PLE being WrestlePalooza and the ESPN and WWE deal partnership starting earlier than expected. Um, we were supposed to get this starting with WrestleMania 42 next April, but we're not. We are getting WWE on ESPN way earlier than expected. September 20th, WrestlePalooza is the first PLE in which WWE will be on ESPN. It's also WrestlePalooza versus All Out directly, once again, directly head to head with an AEW pay per view. All Out in Toronto is also on September 20th. So, your thoughts, Josh, on WWE being on ESPN earlier than we thought, and another head to head pay per view PLE, WWE versus AEW?
Ooh, well, I'll tell you what, I'm not super happy about the moving to ESPN. From what I've seen all across social media, there's a lot of people that one weren't excited about them going to ESPN and having to pay $30 a month for all the PLEs, right? You go from Peacock, which is what, $9.99, so $10 a month.
Yep.
You want a $20 price increase.
Mm,
And a lot of these fans, they're advertising it as you get all of ESPN. Well, a lot of these fans are just WWE fans, right? So you want them to pay $30 a month for all of ESPN and the WWE that they've been watching for years on Peacock at this point, but they have no interest in any of your other content. Otherwise, they would be watching ESPN already, right? Like
yep.
you and I do. We watch ESPN.
Yeah.
We're in sports. That's kind of our job, right? So I've seen really a lot of backlash about the ESPN deal. I've seen a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, well, when Cena retires, I'm retiring," from WWE, or I guess I'm going to go back to just watching the highlights and the clips and getting the storylines from YouTube or from TikTok, or I'm just going to watch someone that's streaming it. So I don't think it was a great plan. I think, especially since Disney owns ESPN.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. It is interesting. And there's a lot of hate, and I think it's partially people just want to complain about something, so they're picking this to complain about. Because they complained about the UFC being on ESPN Plus pay-per-view for years and being 75, $80, whatever it was. It's like WWE could have gone to just ESPN Plus and done the full pay-per-view model, and you could be spending $60 on a pay-per-view. They could have done that. But to your point, like you said, you get everything on ESPN. There's going to be over 47,000 events that you're going to see with the ESPN DTC streaming service for $30 a month. It's all the big college football conferences, the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, all of it. That's all included. The NFL documentaries that they have on ESPN, all the documentaries that they have on ESPN. It's people are just complaining about it just to complain about something. And yeah, the $30 on top of Netflix being what they're priced at, and then of course Peacock increased their plans. The no ads version is now $18, after or $16.99 or $16.99, but it comes to $18.18 after taxes. And then Netflix, depending on what plan you have there, it's up there as well. So whenever you combine all three of them, maybe it does equal out to a pay-per-view pricing, but at the end of the day, if you want to watch it live while it's happening, you're going to pay for it, or you're going to get a VPN, or, pirate it or whatever. But then you have to deal with, if it goes down, or, if it buffers. Because again, people were complaining about the buffering with Netflix during the first Jake Paul fight versus Mike Tyson on Netflix. And then they were like, oh, WWE better not do this and better figure it out, whatever. Um,
And
so
they did.
it's just the rounds of what people are going to complain about this week.
Well, and I think the big reason that this is kind of getting so much backlash too is it's kind of I feel like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Because back in the day, it used to be cable or satellite, right?
Yep.
And then they started increasing their prices, and then streaming came out, and everyone's
Yep.
like, "Oh, well, it's cheaper to just stream whatever I want and get Netflix and this and that," And now with them increasing their price, Netflix has increased how many times?
Yeah.
And then they try to take away password sharing.
Yep.
Peacock is getting more expensive. Hulu's getting more expensive. Disney's bought Hulu.
Hulu's now going away, and is
Right,
essentially it's just Disney Plus, but they still have Hulu.
right,
But the Hulu app itself is going away, which is
yeah.
crazy to think about.
And then now you've got now if you watch UFC and WWE, Um, if you didn't have Paramount, now you've got to get Paramount, right? I'm
Yep.
sure those prices will increase at some point because they have a hot ticket item like UFC. They're not just going to keep prices the same as they were before they had UFC. They have an extra asset, a major asset
Yeah.
that people are gonna want to watch, and it's still going to be cheaper than a pay per view for UFC, but they're not going to miss out on an opportunity to raise their prices. So between Netflix, Hulu going away, Disney,
Yep.
now ESPN at $30 a month, you're looking. I mean, just between Netflix and ESPN, you're looking at what, $50?
Yeah, I mean, I know, I like you said, the password sharing, I have the extra screen to be able to share my password but log in at two different places. So for me, Netflix is $36 for me. So 36 and then 30 with it comes out to 36, and then ESPN it comes out to 32.10. So being,
Right,
super, exact. It is pretty much, pretty up there. And then of course, Peacock, we do have a new Peacock deal with WWE. They are going to be
yep,
putting Saturday night's main events on Peacock exclusively. NXT PLEs are still going to be on Peacock until April of 26, and then they're moving to ESPN. So still need Peacock for now. Also, part of that Peacock deal is the library for WWE will remain on there until 26. Um, Actually, I don't know if the library will remain on there until 26. I don't know the specifics of what the Peacock deal has and when. But I thought was thinking that ended at the end of this year. Um, and that's why they were starting with WrestleMania next year. But who knows what else they'll work into with Peacock and USA and NBC Universal, as we are still getting SmackDown on USA. That will be another thing that is going to go to Peacock on a 30-day delay. So last night's episode of SmackDown won't be on Peacock until next month, which is kind of
right.
ridiculous for those that can't watch SmackDown live as it's happening, or just want to watch, all four at one time, um, whatever order you want to watch that in. Because I know when they were on Hulu, I would watch it next day, just because that's how my work schedule was. But the streaming services are taking over, and eventually you're going to need every streaming service, and we're going to go back to cable just with streaming services.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
I know it's getting that way, but I would rather, if I can get rid of ads and have the premium for everything, and watch my shows in order, binge it, everything is right there, and I don't have to wait, or search it a different way and go to on demand, but then this one is, recorded or whatever. I'm going to do that. and because I can't stand cable, I can't stand it. Cut the cords as soon as you can and get rid of it. I mean, no Hulu Live TV. I don't know what they're doing with that. I know you have Hulu Live TV, so I don't know if you know what they're
Not
doing with
anymore.
that.
Actually, that got too expensive too. That was like that jumped up to like $90 to $100. So
Wow.
I cut that out. It was like 75
Yeah.
to 80 at first, and now it's like 90 to 100. And I was like, oh, just in the economy. The thing is with the economy,
Yeah.
right? Inflation has been steady the last few months or whatnot, but it was already high before that. So
Yeah.
everything increasing and having to have Netflix and
Mhm.
Paramount and
Yep.
ESPN and
Yep.
Peacock
Yep.
and Hulu and
Yep.
Disney. It's like I might as well just have cable because
Yeah.
even then, like Netflix, if you start Monday Night Raw, you're still getting like commercials in between.
Yes. Yeah. You
So
know.
I'm still getting ads. I'm paying more than I've ever paid for Netflix because of the password sharing thing, and I'm still getting ads.
Yeah.
Hulu, I was still getting ads, right? But at least now, I will say, cable has come up with they run their DVR like Hulu does, where you can set it to record. You wait 15, 20 minutes after the show starts, and you just start watching from your DVR recording,
Right.
and you can skip the ads,
Yeah. That is
you
true.
know?
And
And
they do also Netflix whenever as soon as the show's over, and the show goes to Netflix's library, you can watch it that way. And it's so weird because sometimes the ads are still there, sometimes they're not. And I know with DirecTV Stream, whenever you watch a recording, you can skip the ads. But if you're watching something that is in DirecTV's library, not like on demand, but like through that show that is there, like I watched the McBee Dynasty, which is on Bravo, and you can't skip those ads. So because it's so insane with like they're like, all right, the premium one you don't have ads, and I know live TV is going to have ads. I understand that, but it's like, and the ads I can deal with when it's live TV versus the commercials because the ads are at least they're it's going to be the same three that they play, and that is annoying. But it's better than seeing a commercial that's just plain old outright dumb. I mean, it on basic cable, and they play those same ones over and over and over again. At least with like the ads, they switch it up, and it's the same three, but it's not repeat the same one three times in a row. It is dumb that we have ads on our Netflix, and then overseas they don't. They see the interviews that they do in the skybox or whatever. But getting a VPN would cancel that out. You just have to set it to the right country. Because whenever I tried the VPN for SmackDown to watch it on Netflix, it just didn't work because I couldn't get it on my TV, which sucks. So if you do get a VPN, I think it has to be with a Amazon Fire Stick to actually work and watch it from your TV.
yeah, it's absolutely insane, and I do think WWE is. Um, I think they're going to lose some people. I really do. Just the sheer amount, even I mean, because let's for example, let's say 100 people say they're going to shut down, they're going to stop watching it on Netflix, and they're not getting ESPN or whatnot. Let's say not even all of them actually stick to that. You're still going to get a percentage of that that is like, yeah, no, I said I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to just pirate it, watch somebody else's live stream of it,
Yeah,
or I'm just going to watch it on YouTube, the clips. And
yeah,
there's enough influencers out there that you can watch the clips, you know, on their profiles for
yeah,
free.
yeah. And
So
to that point, it being on ESPN, yes, they're going to lose people. But with it being on ESPN, they're going to gain more people. So it's a they're cutting their losses with if someone really is going to just get rid of it like that, then fine, they can get rid of it like that. They're not sweating it. TKO isn't sweating it. They have enough money. ESPN isn't sweating it because they know that they're gonna get. It's all one big circle, and I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to watch, you're going to find a way to watch, and if you don't want to watch, you're not going to care. So
Yeah.
the ESPN and WWE, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I think it's really cool. It legitimizes what WWE is, and it's really cool to see more talent on First Take and Good Morning Football and the Rich Eisen show. Seth Rollins is on there a lot, which is pretty cool. And I know Seth Rollins is excited. Is one star that's all the stars are probably excited, but he's excited to be in the ESPN family. As is we talked about WrestlePalooza being September 20th. Another member of the ESPN family and WWE family, Pat McAfee, will be back at WrestlePalooza on September 20th. It's in Indianapolis at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and it will be. We don't know that it will be headlined by this match, but John Cena will be in the headline. Probably where they're going to pick up and do the Brock Lesnar John Cena feud. So that's going to headline that. WWE champion Cody Rhodes will be there. Probably going to continue that Cody and Drew McIntyre. That's probably going to be the co-main event. How they announce it. Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch is advertised. Seth Rollins is advertised as well. Makes sense that both Seth and Becky will be there. Indianapolis is close to Iowa, where Rollins is from. Always looked at that as kind of like his hometown away from his hometown. And it will kick off the ESPN partnership ahead of, as we said, WrestleMania 42. And again, this is competing directly with AW All Out. It's kind of insane that they are doing more and more shows to directly compete with AEW. They've done the last couple NXT shows have directly competed with AEW shows, and it will. Heat Wave is going to be, I believe Heat Wave is tomorrow. And Forbidden Door is also tomorrow. So that's just an example of again they're doing it again. Um, so it's insane that where wrestling is being competitive, like I'm sure like it was back in the day. But it is insane with where we're going and the streaming world and ESPN and Max and because that's another thing. If you're an AEW fan, you're also getting throwing Max into that cost of that. But with Max, you get, Max is fantastic. I had Max right from the jump when they launched that, and I love it. And they changed it from HBO Max to Max back to HBO Max. So, it's insane that they changed the names. It's insane that they create a new service after new service because Fox One is also a new streaming service now. Fox now has their own streaming service. So imagine if WWE SmackDown was still on Fox, it would be on. You would have another one to pay for. So it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's I'm all for new PLEs. It definitely feels a little vengeful, or not vengeful, but like they're just
Spiteful.
trying to shut out the competition. With competing with AEW, and which is just absolutely insane. I'm not a fan of AEW, but I think friendly competition just makes everyone's product better. And it just seems very. Now, granted, I figured they were probably going to do something special for the first ESPN one, but when I found out that they were scheduling it directly against All Out, I was immediately like, okay, Triple H and TKO and The Rock are definitely trying to crush AEW every chance they get, and because they want to be the big dog and they don't want to risk anybody going to AEW. And I hope it's good. The name sounds very gimmicky, very very gimmicky. WrestlePalooza, sounds like something I would have come up with hanging out with my buddies as teenagers out in the backyard. Our own pay-per-view at that point because that's how old I am. But we'll see. Like I said, I don't know who's going to be, what the matches are going to be. You know, John Cena's going to be there, and which also kind of stinks because that was probably an unexpected PLE planned when they scheduled out his dates. So now he's got less dates and one more show that's added in. So we'll see. I hope it does well. I'll definitely be watching. If not, I'll catch the recaps on it. But and of course, Pat McAfee was going to be there. Not surprised at all. And yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. I don't know what to expect. I'm not setting any expectations for the show, so that way I'm pleasantly surprised or unpleasantly disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah, that is where we're at with the era that we're in. And it WrestlePalooza looks like it was used to be an ECW pay-per-view. And there was an independent promotion that had the rights for it. And apparently it was there was a whole big thing about like how or when they were going to announce the name because they had to, get the copyright for it or whatever, but it the promotion that had it, they stopped, weren't allowed to talk about it, weren't allowed to say it, and they removed like it was all that copyright stuff that went into it. But yeah, it used to be an ECW pay per view, so a new PLE for sure. But yeah, Indianapolis is a great partner with WWE. It's always is a great sports town. And it is one of Cena's dates, and this was an unannounced PLE at the beginning of the year. So I'm sure that they probably had a good idea that this was going to be one of Cena's dates. So it does suck that it does suck. I see what you mean with like this is, it looks like it's taken away from one of his dates, but this is one of the four next ones that we are going to see him at. It looks like he's now down to 8 with WrestlePalooza, Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, and Saturday Night's Main Event, which will be his retirement match. And they did announce that will be December 13th. Um, and then he also a couple more TV shows within mixed in there. So it looks like I guess it'll be 4. So he's down to 8 um, shows left for the rest of the year, which is kind of crazy. So any cities that are on that list, get out and see Cena for the final time. I'm glad that I got to see him in Hershey the final time that he was in Hershey, which was last September or 2 Septembers ago. At this point, I can't even remember, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's crazy to think that time's running out on one of the greatest careers of all time with Cena and the last couple dates that he has.
Yeah, it's we're down to single digits. It's a sad day when you think about it, and to see him almost done with his retirement run, and it's going to be a sad day, and it's going to be on my birthday. On top of that, so thanks a lot for retiring on my birthday after 23 years in the business. But if anyone deserves it, it's definitely John Cena
Yeah.
with everything he's put in, not just into the business, but into the fans, into the Make a Wish.
Yeah.
Definitely very well deserved.
Yeah.
17-time champ, unheard of in the industry. And, we just got to enjoy the last 8.
Yes. Yeah, it's insane, and they were up in the air with what date that would be on the Saturday Night's Main Event in December, with it being on the 13th or the 27th, because as you probably guessed, the 27th is AEW World's End, and that's their final pay per view of the year. But at that time, it was going to be on Peacock, or I guess Saturday Night's Main Event will still be on Peacock, but NBC didn't want to compete with the football game that they have on Peacock on that Saturday, the 27th. So that's why it ultimately end up being the 13th. The location I think is still up in the air, but TD Garden I believe is available. I saw someone post and make that note. So probably in Boston would be the perfect way to send Cena off. And to send off episode 3 quickly, can run over and talk about Jake Paul versus Tank Davis in an exhibition that will be on Netflix November 14th, almost exactly 1 year after Jake faced Mike Tyson on Netflix, and did massive, massive numbers. I mean, we talked about it, the buffering that happened during that fight, all the fights and everything, and Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano being the co-main. I mean, absolutely insane. And then Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano headlining on Netflix, all women's card for boxing in Madison Square Garden. Absolutely insane. Tank Davis originally agreed to fight Roach again after their draw, but then opted out of the rematch to now have an exhibition against Jake Paul. Yes, we know the weight difference, we know the height difference, whatever. Logan fought Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition, but it wasn't on Netflix, and it's not going to be done in the scale that they're going to do this one. Um, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's in Atlanta at the State Farm Arena, and the rules, rounds, and the weight will still be announced later, but I believe it's going to be an exhibition. Um, and so the weight isn't going to be that much of a factor. But Jake Paul versus Tank Davis is official on Netflix for November 14th.
Yeah, not super excited for it. Um, you know, I would love to see Jake Paul just get into regular boxing, right? I'm tired of pulling these retired guys, whether it's UFC or Mike Tyson. Like, all right, brother, I'm hearing you. You're saying you're a real boxer. You're the best boxer in the world. Cool.
The face of boxing.
The
The
face of
face of
boxing. All right, cool. You're the face of boxing. Cool. Get into WBC. Get
he
into real boxing.
he
Right.
he
I am
he is
okay with
ranked.
that.
He is ranked. He is ranked. And
Which is
yes,
crazy to
I,
me.
I I see your point. I know. I do hear it. He is in talks to face Anthony Joshua after Tank Davis, or at some point next year. There also is talks of Tommy Fury and the rematch there. They offered Tommy Fury the rematch on for the Chavez Jr. card, and Tommy turned it down because he was dealing with the hand injury and the surgery, and his dad said no. And then they offered him the fight on the Mike Tyson card, and he turned that down as well. So Tommy Fury is around the same age. He's been boxing for since he was 6 years old, so he's a real boxer. Yes, I know that Jake lost to him at their. Funny enough, you said Cena retires on your birthday. Jake Paul lost to Tommy Fury on my birthday a couple years ago. So our birthdays are just seemingly bad luck when it comes to sporting events like that.
Right.
But I see your point with Jake, and it's a different way to look at it with what he's done and how he's progressed in his career and getting tougher and tougher opponents each time. Yes, a lot of them have been old UFC guys, but if it's their first time in the boxing ring, or Anderson Silva had 4 matches before facing Jake Paul. You got to look at that. It's not Jake hasn't been boxing since he was 6 years old, so it's an even playing field of UFC guy coming into boxing and a YouTuber or actor or entertainer coming into boxing and taking the storm that Jake has taken to the world of boxing and putting on the events that no one else is putting on in the sport of boxing until we get TKO putting on Canelo Alvarez and Crawford, which is about 3 weeks away and or whatever, also on Netflix.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's definitely. Oh, that's my buddy. That's my buddy. Yes, yes. Defending Jake is crazy, I believe. Uh, you know, at the same time, Anderson Silva, let's face it, Anderson Silva washed before he started boxing. Okay. He was done in the UFC. There's a reason he went to boxing. Okay. He was by and far washed in the UFC as far as I'm concerned. and he went into boxing. And as we've known, UFC fighters don't transition into boxing well, right? Between Conor McGregor, while he was very impressive for what he did, he got a game planned out, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Anderson Silva didn't do well in
Nate
boxing.
Diaz. Nate Diaz started boxing and wanted to be a boxer, but the UFC got to him first.
Right.
He uses boxing in his camps. So, and Jake dog walked Nate Diaz in a boxing ring. I know. It's not. It can't really compare it. It's not the same. Whatever. But Nate Diaz also turned down $10 million to fight Jake in the PFL. So Jake was offering him like, hey, we can do MMA. Jake is still looking to do and have a fight in the PFL. So, it's just that no one, the UFC guys will say yes to him in boxing, but they're not they're saying no to him in their own sport. So, it is what it is. You can think about what Jake Paul, whatever you want to think about, but what he's doing for the sport of boxing is, and women's boxing as well, that could be a whole nother episode, as we are hitting an hour and a half, and my little one does have tutoring here in about 15 minutes. So Jake Paul versus Tank Davis on Netflix November 14th, as well as Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez on Netflix September 12th. And we're gonna tie a bow on this one, on this episode of Saturday Smack Talk, and we didn't get to talk about football, but um, next
We'll have
week i'm
plenty to talk
sure
about
i'm
next
sure
week.
we'll have a lot to talk about. So any last thoughts, or tell them where they can find you as we wrap up episode 3 of Saturday Smack Talk here on Tired Sports Network.
You can find me on Lace 'em Up Sports Media on YouTube. A few of you guys have. A couple of you guys already have. So thank you. I appreciate you coming into the live stream on here, and love all the love. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, pretty much any kind of social media. So, and of course, Saturday Smack Talk as well on Facebook. And hopefully, we'll be getting some other social medias up for that as well soon.
Yep.
But yeah, great show.
Absolutely.
Minus Jake Paul defending Jake Paul, but for sure, we definitely appreciate you coming in and showing us some love, you and Rita.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it, and I hope you're enjoying the range, by the way. But yeah, great show. I look forward to next week, and yeah.
All right, yeah, that wraps it up. Of course, Tired Sports Media, Tired Sports Network, Sleeper Sports Media. Got very tired, which is why I'm mixing the two, but it just works out. Lace 'em Up Sports Media, and yes, thank you to everyone in the chat that was here, that joined, that watches it back later. It will be available on my Spotify here momentarily, and look for the clips to get out there. As Josh greatly pointed out to me, that StreamYard is now doing like automatic republishing and everything. And of course, presented by the Tired Sports Network here on StreamYard, the best streaming tool out there. Tried a bunch of different ones, but StreamYard is the best, and very grateful for the Tired Sports Network to provide us the StreamYard. So, of course, if you are looking to get into streaming, use the link there in the description for use, and sign up with the referral for the network, so we both get some credits, and your first month will be at a discount. And you can, $10 discount when you sign up for StreamYard using that referral there. And that's going to wrap up episode 3 of Saturday Smack Talk. We will be back next week to go over Clash in Paris, or actually, I guess we'll be previewing again Clash in Paris. Hopefully, the full card for that one, and we can maybe, I might watch Heat Wave tomorrow, and might go over that. We'll go over the go home show for Raw, the go home show for SmackDown, as well as any other news that comes out between now and next week on the 30th of August. That'll be episode 4 of Saturday Smack Talk. And it was a great episode. Thank you for watching. And of course, next week we start the Smack Talk of what the world of football, as we get closer and closer to the NFL. College football kicks off today. So go enjoy that on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. And thank you for watching Saturday Smack Talk episode 3. We will see you next week.